Yeah, shout out to our brother Icy Amphibian for sharing this news. He sent me a DM regards to this, and we haven't done any coverage for XDC in a while, right? We had the break and so on. So here it is, and look at this for a second. A lot of this, of course, is in Japanese. Excuse me, I'll come out of the frame. I'm going to put some emphasis on this for a second. So, if anything, I'll show you a little bit more about the, thing that was posted here. And shout out to Chad Steingraber for, posting this. Let's take you to this. All right, so I'm out of the frame. I'll actually have to take that off this thing for a second. All right. Well, not that we understand that language anyhow, so I'll just put back on. Anyway. All right, so my bad. Look at this for a second. SBI VC trade. You have this whole thing to SBI Alpha. You have Corda. We're always talking about, XDC R3 Corda bridge, right? Look at Impel for a second. And in the language translation, you have Corda XDC network API with Impel's XDC Corda bridge. And you see how this connects down. We always talk about interoperability and stuff like that. But this is an example of utility in motion. Mike Cornwell stated this, and he also had a video. So shout out to him as well. And just give you a little good breakdown of how this all comes together. We talk about on and off ramps, especially when it comes to Stellar, but the whole thing with XDC. Getting into this a little bit more, I'm going to take you back to this screen. And Mr. Steingraber has this. He says, basically, SBI XDC network is formed. This is on day 160 or whatever. The new joint venture specifically aims to become an information hub that widely provides the innovative solutions of the XDC network, such as expanding the trade finance solutions provided by XDC network to the APAC region. Now, how long ago was this posted? Well, you do see here that it was posted on December 27th. So it was only a few days ago. And basically speaking, it's back to that reference of, from Chad Steinberger, Grobber, of SBI, VC Trade, XCC, Impel, and Corda. So I'm going to take you over here to the whole thing from Zinfin itself. I'll come back in the frame on this one. All right, let's see here. So why is this significant? Well, for numerous reasons. For one, SBI Holdings announced a establishment of quote-unquote SBI XDC Network APAC. And it states that this is a collaboration with, of course, TradeFinex Tech. They are thrilled to enhance SBI and XDC network partnership, driving blockchain adoption, of course, to the APAC region. There's this whole report and whatnot. It includes the whole thing of the United Arab Emirates. And I think we talked about that maybe in November. But you could check out more about the joint venture. But here's the cool thing, right? Here's the bottom line. This venture will help from the localization of XDC network related information in Japan. Remember earlier we talked about the whole thing from JASMY and SBI Japan. But look what it says. It's going to support the whole thing of crypto asset exchanges wishing to handle XDC tokens and expansion of partnerships with subnet layer 2 companies. Now, I stated that this will be the last part of the night. As far as it was tagged, I have some bonus coverage I'm going to get into. But the joint venture aims to become an information hub that widely provides the innovative solutions of XDC network, such as expanding trade finance, of course, to APAC. Now, you got to keep in mind, when we talk about utility in motion, can you give some examples? Or can I give you guys some examples? A great example is what Mr. Cornwell found. And maybe you guys get tired of me talking about interoperability, but this is not quant we're talking about. This is XDC. So talks about interoperability and instant settlement. Talks about R3 being its first of its kind connection that enables native XDC coin to move to and from the public Corda network. That is utility in motion, any way you want to spin it. This bridge specifically will allow XDC to be used as settlement vehicle inside the Corda ecosystem, allowing value to move freely between core to public network and, of course, public blockchain networks like the XDC network. Now I get it. XDC doesn't even have a drop in a bucket compared to, scalability like something like a BSV. But if you understand diversification and you understand how massive the R3 core to bridge to XDC is, you already have an idea of how big this is. It means the data can be recorded privately on the core to network while limiting data sets are transferred to the XDC public network, mitigating institutional risk and turning core into a hybrid network. We talk about the enablers. This is a perfect example of that. So let's give you a little video. And this video is in regards to Impel. We've done coverage in regards to Impel in the past. But it's a video showing a demo of the R3 core to XDC network bridge. Let's stop talking about it. Let's be about it. Let's give you an example of all this. This is only 5 minutes. How would you like to see some actual utility in motion? Shout out to the one and only Mr. Michael Cornwell for basically sharing this. And if anything, I'm going to take you straight to the YouTube page for it because I want to be able to full screen this. So give me just a second. And after this commercial's done, I'm going to load it up. All right, so let's go ahead and play this. And here we go. Utility in motion. Here we go.
Hello, this is a video demonstration on how you can use Impel's bridge project. This project is about transferring native XDC from the XDC network to R3 Cordite app and back. The provenance of XDC native is on the XDC network. Before we start using Impel's bridge UI, let's first mention the respective UIs for each network. So for the XDC network, we have XDC Pay. Let's log in. We are currently connected on the mainnet, and XDC Pay holds a list of accounts and their respective private keys, and holds the balances and the transactions that we have done using XDC Pay with this account. And it's an easy way to integrate with other UIs, as we will see in a bit. On the Cordite side, on the Cordite network, we have the Cordite UI, which you can log in, and you can see that we currently have some accounts, and this is the receiving account that we will use in the demo. So we can see that there is some balance here, and there are the respective transactions, and we will talk about this in a bit. So now that we know how we can connect to each network using its respective UI, let's say that I am an XDC network user and I would like to send one XDC from my XDC address to a Cordite address. So the first thing I need to do is to connect my XDC Pay to the mainnet and select the account. I will select this account, which already has 88.9 XDC, and I will use the Impel Bridge UI to connect to my account through XDC Pay. As we can see, if I change the account, it would change also on the Bridge UI. So let's use this account, and let's say I would like to send one XDC to a destination address in Cordite. Is the destination address. So the destination is Cordite, the network name is mainnet, and let's hit send. So XDC Pay prompts us to approve this transaction. And if we do that, $8.99, we went down one XDC and we went up one XDC on Cordite side, on the Bluetooth address. You can also see that on the transaction page that this took place, okay? So now that we have successfully moved one XDC, let's say that we are a Cordite user that would like to send, let's say, 2 XDCs from our Cordite address to a specific XDC address. So how we would do that? This is the destination address. So we will send from Bluetooth to this address, again, which is the one connected through XDC Pay. And we will select an asset, and let's say 2. So we would see that this would go 2 up, and this would go 2 down. So if we do that, we would see that when the transaction happens, it takes a bit of a time. It goes 2 up, and this went 2 down. And we can also see on the transaction list that this is a receive. We can see the transaction details and view it on block scan, as we can do on the send tab also. So this wraps up the demo about how you can send to and from existing network and Cordite app native XDC which has provenance in the XDC network. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it was nice to give an example about that. All right. Before we wrap things up in regards to the XDC segment, I have, of course, some brief notes I want to get into, and I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty. But one of the key things that always gets brought up in regards to XDC, and especially with the R3 core bridge, is institutions, right? So one thing I gathered in my own research and notes and so on, because I don't want to talk you guys' ears off about interoperability. I've been talking about it for over a year or two, right? There, of course, is the whole thing of that hybrid functionality that we talked about, but there is benefits for financial institutions in regards to everything that was presented. So for one, streamlined transactions. This specific bridge facilitates faster and cheaper cross-border settlements, trade, especially for trade finance and other financial processes by utilizing XDC's, fast transaction speed and low fees. Yes, there's other, particular projects out there that are a lot faster, but we're talking about trade finance. And we're also talking about the whole notion of regulatory compliance, because let's face it, that's coming up here soon. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to get dragged through the mud to 2030 personally, but to each his own. You have to keep in mind that XDC's focus on specifically ISO 222 messaging standards does in fact cater to regulatory requirements. And it does just that. It makes it attractive, of course, to institutions. All right. With all that said, there's going to be increased adoption. And this is, of course, a major benefit for financial institutions, because this partnership between a mature enterprise like, for instance, Corda, and a public blockchain like, for instance, XDC, could encourage wider adoption of just that digital asset technology within the financial sector. We talk also about the whole thing of bridging the gap as far as the significance of all this. The R3 Corda bridge with XDC definitely bridges a significant step between, the whole idea of interoperability. I said I wouldn't talk your ear off about it, and I'm not. But it's a collaboration basically between private and public blockchain networks. It also paves the way for more connected and efficient financial ecosystem. Like, we need to have that, especially when it comes to XDC, because there's a lot of projects that are part of that ecosystem for Zinfin's XDC. Also keep in mind, this boosts some things for XDC, and that's a good thing. The bridge strengthens XDC's position as, of course, a settlement token, and within the Corda ecosystem, and of course, potentially beyond just that. It's going to significantly increase the usage, and of course, that will create more value. At the end of the day, what's the point of buying into any of this if you don't have any supply and demand that's going to create more value, right? Right. Now, I've always felt as though that one of the main reasons why I got into XDC is when I, understood a little bit more about this whole concept of XDC R3 core bridge. I mean, when you talk to most people, even from outside our community, about the whole concept of XDC, they at some point mentioned this. So this does lead the way as far as innovation, because it reflects the whole notion that XDC is got a commitment to, open collaboration, basically, and interoperability, potentially positioning itself as just a key player in the future of blockchain adoption. But how so? Well, through the R3 core bridge with the XDC. That example you saw in regards to the whole thing with Impel, say what you want, might be a little bit boring at times, but it's a great example of utility in motion, especially when you've understood the greater picture of things. Now, while this whole bridge is still relatively new, keep in mind this long-term impact has been yet to be seen, but at the same time, you do understand that ISO 222 is going to be fully implemented by late 2025. You combine these examples, well, do you really see XDC being the prices is going to be at long term? I don't. I still think it's one of those ones that's on sale. And if anything, I'm looking to accumulate more.